Hello, this is Monica Reinagel, and you're listening to episode number 450 of the Nutrition Diva podcast. Welcome. Laurel, who is a longtime podcast listener, recently requested an episode on seitan. What the heck is that? How does it stack up nutritionally, and how are you supposed to eat it? And that's going to be our topic for today. Seitan is not a new thing. Now, the word, which is spelled Seitan, is Japanese, and it was coined just about 50 years ago by one of the proponents of the macrobiotic diet, which is something that I've written about in past episodes. But the food that it refers to has been a staple in Asian cultures for at least 15 centuries. I remember seeing it, although not buying it, at the food co-op that I belonged to as an undergraduate at Boston University. Although that was not quite 15 centuries ago, it was still long before the days of Whole Foods stores and yoga studios on every corner. Back then, food co-ops and really health food in general occupied a sort of fringe culture left over from the age of Aquarius. Today, of course, minimally processed foods and plant-based diets are relatively mainstream pursuits. So a whole new generation of hipsters and Lululemon-wearing moms are getting acquainted with things like kombucha and seitan. As it happens, I talked about kombucha just last week in my nutrition tips for fall. And this week, I have a quick primer on seitan for you. We have a new sponsor this week for the Nutrition Diva podcast, StitchFix. Most of us have a love-hate relationship with shopping. You either spend all day at the mall and end up with yet another striped t-shirt, or you scroll endlessly online and then just end up leaving everything in the cart. Well, now you can shop the productive way and end up with stuff you actually love with StitchFix. Whether you want to express your personal style, dress for the job you want, or just try something new, StitchFix can style you on your time. You don't even have to leave the house. Just fill out your style profile online and your personal stylist will send clothes, shoes, accessories picked just for you, your size, your lifestyle, your budget, and of course, what you like. Each Stitch Fix box contains 5 items that you can try on at home, and you only pay for the items that you keep. And sending it back, everything else is easy. Stitch Fix covers shipping both ways for returns and exchanges too. And there's no subscription required. You can get your fix monthly, quarterly, or just on demand. I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical, but I just got my first fix from my stylist, whose name is Michelle, and I loved everything she picked for me, and the prices were right in line with my budget. You can get started now at stitchfix.com/diva. And by the way, if you do end up keeping all 5 items in your box, you get 25% off the whole caboodle. That's stitchfix.com/diva to try it today. And now on with today's show. What is seitan and how do you eat it? Seitan is most frequently used as a meat substitute in vegetarian diets. It has a sort of stringy, chewy texture that makes it a fairly good substitute for meat. Unlike some meat substitutes, however, it's actually a decent source of protein. But the source of the protein might surprise you. Seitan is made from wheat gluten. Yes, you heard me correctly. This health food consists almost entirely of gluten, a substance that a lot of people are going to great lengths to avoid these days. It's made by rinsing wheat flour dough to dissolve and remove most of the starch and the fiber, and eventually what you have left is a sticky, elastic mass of protein. We tend to think of wheat and products made from wheat, like bread and pasta, as carbs. However, people forget that wheat is around 15% protein, mostly in the form of gluten. A slice of wheat bread or serving of pasta contains about 5 to 10 grams of protein. In fact, among all the grains, wheat is actually one of the highest in protein. And one of the unfortunate aspects of a lot of gluten-free products is that they end up being significantly lower in protein and higher in carbohydrate than the wheat-based products that they're intended to replace. But back to seitan. Historically, wheat gluten was a popular source of protein for Buddhists who are vegetarians. It also became an important element of the macrobiotic diet, which dates from around the 1930s, and it continues to be popular today with those who are following a plant-based diet. Wheat gluten also turns up frequently as an ingredient in soy-based sausages, burgers, and other kinds of meat alternatives. In fact, if you've ever tried Tofurky, you remember that year in high school when you declared yourself to be a vegetarian and your mom made you a Tofurky for Thanksgiving? Well, then you have had wheat gluten. The stuff is actually very versatile. It can be steamed or baked or rolled out into noodles and boiled or marinated or stir-fried. It's especially useful for those who, for whatever reason, cannot eat soy protein because that's usually one of the primary sources of protein for vegetarians. But for obvious reasons, seitan would not be appropriate for anyone with celiac or any other gluten sensitivity. With little flavor of its own, seitan readily picks up the flavor of whatever you're cooking it with or in. If you wanted to try seitan in its more traditional guises, you could seek out an authentic Chinese restaurant or maybe a macrobiotic cafe. If you'd like to try it at home, you might be able to find seitan at a regular grocery store. Look for it in the section where they stock the tofu or the vegetarian hot dogs. If you can't find it there, seek out a health food store or a food co-op, yes, they still exist, or an Asian grocer. And you're going to find a wide variety of seitan products, including pre-seasoned or marinated crumbles and strips and ribs, nuggets, patties. Usually all you have to do is heat it up. And in terms of nutrition, a 3-ounce serving of seitan will provide about 20 grams of protein, which is not too shabby for a plant-based protein. If you've never had it, why not try some seitan this week? Let me know what you think. You can post your comments on our website at quickanddirtytips.com or on the Nutrition Diva Facebook page. Thanks to Laurel for suggesting this week's topic and for being a long-term listener. And if you have a burning question or a dilemma, or you need to settle a nutrition-related bet with your roommate or spouse, drop me a line at nutrition@quickanddirtytips.com or come visit me on Facebook. I always love to hear from you. Have a great week, and remember to eat something good for me, maybe some seitan.